All right, everyone. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate your time, and we really appreciate Dennis joining us today. We want to begin now, and just to let you all know, this webinar is being recorded. It'll be made available to you after the fact as well. We're really, really excited that you're here for this webinar. I want to lay down a few house cleaning items, and then we'll turn the time to Dennis, who has some great information for us. He really is one of the foremost Facebook experts in the world. Dennis Yu is the CEO of Blitzmetrics. He's helped brands and businesses grow and measure their Facebook presence all over the world. He's an internationally known speaker at marketing events and consultant for companies. He actually managed Yahoo's analytics for a time, and he's spoken at shows like Search Marketing Expo, at Search Engine Strategies, at Web 2.0, and a bunch of other shows. He's spoken at more shows than I've ever attended, so to give you an idea. So we're really excited that he's joined us today. We also want to let you know that we encourage you to ask questions. So if you have questions, just type those into your question bar. I'll read those to Dennis throughout or at the conclusion, whichever he would prefer. And just to give you a little bit of background about this webinar series, we do have at Log My Calls this webinar series every Thursday with marketing experts. We encourage you to attend those webinars as much as you can. Just go to logmycalls.com/webinar, and you can attend those webinars. And as I said, we're really, really excited for today's webinar with Dennis. So with that, Dennis, any thoughts before we jump right in?
No, let's do it. We're going to have about 40 minutes. We're going to blast through this presentation, 20 minutes of his slides. I'm going to mix in a bunch of live stuff inside Facebook. We're going to use the Power Editor, the regular web-based ads manager. If you have questions, go ahead and queue them up in the chat. And if you want to participate on Twitter, we've got a couple of folks who are going to answer some of your questions. I imagine it's going to generate a little bit of confusion. I looked at the list of the people who are here. It's awesome to see we got a couple hundred folks. I see there's a mix of small businesses, consultants. There's a few big brand folks. I see some other friends who have joined. That's great. All of us are at different stages, so if you see some items that don't make any sense, don't worry. We have more details around that. There's a whole world of Facebook a lot of people have not realized exists. So we're going to try to satisfy everybody here, but we know that in an hour that's not really going to be possible. So just try to absorb what you see here in terms of the techniques. If you can take notes, great, but it might go by a little bit fast. I'm going to go real quick through it, but remember, it's recorded. We've got notes around how you can execute upon any of these particular kinds of techniques. Everything here is backed up with examples. So just don't freak out. That's my advice.
And one more house cleaning item too, Dennis, that I just thought of. You mentioned Twitter. If people want to tweet about this, ask questions via Twitter, just use the hashtag #LogMyCalls, and we'll be able to pick up, you're talking about this webinar specifically. So thank you.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir. We're good.
What do you see?
I see an email. How to use Pinterest Analytics, 6 metrics worth measuring this is what I see on the screen.
That's not what I want. Hold on. I think I'm in the, hold on, let me just, technical difficulties here. All right, what do you see? It's paused.
I see a screen with Facebook, and yes, this is I'm sure your deck.
Hang on a minute. Okay. So we have 7 tips that we've assembled from a few experts. I'm going to add in a few other ones as a bonus. Most people fail with Facebook because they see it as one particular thing, as a social network where you hang out with friends, or a place to run ads, or PR, or one-way blasting, or a place just to, whatever it is. They all have these different goals, but when you start with the right framework and see that Facebook is a utility, in the same way that email is a utility, or your power company, water company is a utility, it becomes this addiction, and you think about how can you market if you know everything about somebody, if you know everything they've bought, if you know who their friends are, if you know where they just were, if you know the device they have, if you know their preferences, then you're not marketing at them because you're a friend of theirs. And you can personalize. But then if you've got X million customers, or even if you're a small business and you've just got a few that are in your city, how do you truly personalize against this? So you're overwhelmed with all the other things that you're doing, your website, your email, your other marketing activities, running your business. And then Facebook makes all these changes, so how do you keep up? How do you think about this in a strategic sort of way so you can implement a few things that will always last instead of hopping to the latest thing and being confused all the time? And even people like us have trouble trying to stay up with everything that's occurring. So I'm just going to go through a few slides talking conceptually how best to think about Facebook so that you're going to be successful in your ads. And this is the kind of thing, this is the stuff, we've done this hundreds of times, it trips up people. We've been doing Facebook ads since 2007, so what is that, 6 years? Almost 7 years now. Think about this. You used to have, in the old days, people would write books and long, thoughtful pieces, and then it became blog posts, and then Twitter at 140 characters, and then the like button, and now all the way down to photos. Did you know that of all the things that occur on Facebook, which are called consumptions, and well, part of actions, consumptions, and stories, which are things that they either get shared or not. You know, Carrie Bugby liked this, that's a story. Carrie Bugby viewed a photo, that's a consumption. 60% of all of the consumptions that occur on Facebook are photo views. And so what people are doing is they're voting, and everything they do when they click like or they comment or post or whatever has a particular weight against it. So there is an Adweek article that we contributed to, and we noticed that a share is worth 13 times more than a like. And we know that a comment is worth about 7 times more than a like. And for you, you know that a purchase is worth whatever purchase is worth. Every company is different. But considering that your brand value is the sum of all of the experiences, positive or negative, that someone has had with you, whether they're a customer or not, that's really the best way to think about it. It's a bank account balance, right? This social, emotional bank account balance where you're constantly making deposits or you're making withdrawals. And when your friends are doing something, that's also another touch. So you're trying to get more touches in there, ideally touches that come from other friends, because that, of course, carries way more trust, right? If I know that McKay likes this hamburger place versus I see an ad that says, come eat at Five Guys, clearly the first one I'm going to trust a lot more, especially if he's making a recommendation in St. George, where I know it's near Zion Canyon and I'd like to go hiking there, things like that, right? So think about Facebook as a way to reveal all the things that people are doing with your brand, which you can then integrate into your marketing so you can amplify word of mouth in a way where you are the invisible hand behind the scenes, where you can see, you can promote the things that friends are doing. Like Mike Jensen, just checked in at his favorite restaurant. We're about to go eat it in an hour, right? That's worth something to me. But me as a marketer, I'm not saying, please eat at my place. I'm not, right? There's way more trust when someone else that your friend trusts or that fan trusts or that target trusts, right? If you can put words in their mouth, or actually, if you can take the words that they say and amplify them to all the people that you want and scale that, then you have ultimately the power of word of mouth. And Facebook is the first, I believe, that's really made that possible. So you have this quote here from George Orwell talking about 1984, and that's really what it's about. It's boiling everything down to the simplest atom of trust, which is right now the like button. We can go into that a lot later. So what do? You get confused because there's all this data, and maybe you have a degree in marketing, an MBA, or you're a small biz owner, but you're not a database guy. You don't write SQL. You remember maybe some of the stats that you took in freshman year of college. And all of a sudden they come out with things like this, right? Number one, custom audience targeting. What is that? A lot of people didn't know that you can take your email lists out of Constant Contact, Vertical Response, Marketo, whatever it might be, and you can pump them into Facebook. Did you know that? Right? Imagine you've got a list. And probably half the people, I'm guessing, based on the registrations, have a decent list. So if you have a list, why not upload that into Facebook? You'll probably get a 70% match rate, somewhere in that range. If you're B2B, maybe 30 or 40%. And then Facebook will tell you how many you match against, and you can hit all those people. Did you know, for example, that you can upload your unsubscribes and then market to them here and maybe get them back again, kind of like a win back? You can use this as remarketing. If you're using remarketing as part of Google AdWords or remarketing.com or one of these other networks, can you comment below saying yes? And if you're not using remarketing, can you comment here in the go-to meeting and say no, just so we have a sense of what people are doing? Because everything we're covering here is basically a form of remarketing, right? When you're using social, you can hit audiences that are interested, who abandoned your shopping cart funnel, who went to your website but didn't come back, who are existing customers and you want them to buy more, right? So just type in below what you have here, and we'll just get a sense of, and maybe McKay, you can tell me what you see, like what's your
Yeah,
general.
a lot of people, we're getting a pretty split, yeses versus no's. The other note here, Dennis, too, is people are saying they're just, and I'm just seeing this, I don't know if you've gone through any other slides, but we're just seeing the image with the, oh, there we go. Yes.
See the cat
now. Perfect. Yes, see it now.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
awesome.
Sorry. Well, so we had a picture of this here, right? The bum with the Facebook social cigarettes. Kind of funny, huh? Okay. Can you see this like button? The George Orwell with the like button?
No, just the cat slide, which is beautiful, by the way.
All right, I'm having some technical difficulties here then. Why is this not working then? Oh, it's showing the application. Sorry. Hang on a sec. Let me go show the screen. I don't know if I can do this. Oh, stop.
It should just show exactly what's on your screen, Dennis. So if you just run through your deck, literally, it will show exactly what you're seeing on your screen.
All right, what are you guys seeing now? Because I'm used to
seeing an email.
No,
seeing an
it's not
email.
working. It's not working. Hang on a sec, guys, because you want to see this. I'm going to show you live how to make some of these ads. Yeah, I don't have this in the drop down here. I don't want to show an application. I want to show. Let me close this out. All right. How about now? Yes, you can see a dartboard, right?
Still, I'm just seeing the intro screen now. You just need, I think, you click that little button, show your screen, I believe.
Sorry, I'm going to close out all this other stuff. I promise you guys it's going to be worth it. Okay, what do you see now?
Still see that intro screen. Let me.
How about this, McKay? Do you want to do that, or let's? Why don't you?
Let me do, Dennis. Let me do this. Let me change. Let me make you. So you're going to see a little icon pop up on your screen saying that you're the presenter, and then it'll show whatever you are showing on your screen.
I think Outlook is fighting me. Hang on.
Gotta love that. Thanks for your patience, everybody. We appreciate it.
Sorry, I'm going to just close all this. Oh, we got a bunch of stuff. Let me just close all this. Trying to kill Outlook real quick. All right. This is what happens when you're on the road like me. 306,000 miles last year. That's what I did. You don't want to do that. It's not like George Clooney or anything. They'll tell you the reality of that. Okay. Can we see Power Editor?
No, we're still seeing that intro screen. If you click, you should see a little icon that says "Show My Screen." Did you see that, Dennis?
Yeah, but it's not working. I know the one you're talking about. Outlook here is trying to kill me here. That's what's going on. That's why we use
Outlook's arguing with GoToWebinar.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what we could do. Can you send? Well, I was going to say if you could send me. If you could send me the deck, I could display it for you. Or if there we go, I can see your screen now.
Oh, we got it working. We got it on the screen now. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. You see the dartboard?
At the last moment, it comes through.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, so now we're seeing the cat slide right now, and we're seeing Marquette. Perfect. Now we're seeing exactly what you're seeing. Perfect. Go ahead.
This is something you have to do inside Power Editor. If you are a Facebook Ads pro or you want to be a pro and you're not using Power Editor, then I'll call you a bluff, right? Because Power Editor allows you to do, I'm not going to go through what is Power Editor, but I'll just say 5 or 6 things real quick. You can upload email lists. You can choose where you want to target, like in the news feed. You can use the new partner category targeting, which is just unbelievable. All the shopping behavior, like actual point-of-sale transaction stuff that they have. You can use Action Spec in a little bit more detail. You can do Action Spec in the API, and I think you can do it in the web interface, but there's a lot of other stuff that you want to be able to do with the targeting. You can do bulk operations where you can copy-paste just like you can in Excel, Control-C, Control-V, even Control-V, which is undo. Did you know that? All that stuff you can do inside here. And so when you want to be able to create dozens, hundreds, thousands of ads, you can do that quickly using Power Editor. It's a Chrome plugin. It's free. It's made by Facebook. And if you're using a third-party ads tool for Facebook, I think you're probably wasting your money. I didn't see any vendors from these ad programs here, but if you want to argue with me, I will unmute you, and we can have a discussion about that here towards the end. Now, with custom audience targeting, you upload these audiences. There's 3 ways that you can upload. By the email address, which is going to be the most common. By the FB user ID, if they have an app that you've created. And the third one's like a phone number, which almost nobody's using. But the main thing is going to be email. You're going to want to upload your different lists from your email provider, or Vertical Response, Marketo, whatever it might be. Now, if you've not segmented your email, a lot of people say, yeah, we intended to, but really, it's just a house list, and we haven't segmented into those people who are leads and opportunities and customers by vertical and by geography and high purchasing and whatever that kind of thing. That's okay, because you can use Facebook to do your segmentation for you. So what you do is you upload that audience, and it will say, hey, you've got, the size is 500, and it'll tell you it's ready, and how many matched. Then you can cross that against those who are female, or if they have a college degree, or they like whatever it is that you sell, right? You're selling Nike shoes, then target all the people who are runners and, like the Boston Marathon or what have you, right? So when you do that and you and all these items together, you can do some incredible market research. For example, you can overlap yourself versus the competitors. You can look at it broken out by demographics. How many of your people are grandmothers or have a college degree or marketing managers or have a revolving credit card debt, or they got divorced recently, or they're about to move, or they have an Audi R8. They have an Android phone and it's HTC. You have all of that very specifically, and you can get those numbers against your actual list. Isn't that crazy, right? That you don't even have to run any ads. You just upload your list and say, okay, I want to start to segment my list. So you can probably waste a whole day fooling around inside of there. And some people say, well, how many lists should I make? Well, start with 1 or 2. Mirror what you're doing in email marketing. If your email marketing is just you and you don't have time to create 20 different segments based on rules on what people are doing, if they say this, then do that, fine. Just start with a single list. But whatever it is, just at least upload your house list. If you want to get all fancy and segment them and create 5 different lists, that's fine, right? Once you have your list in place, there's something that's called a lookalike audience. And a lookalike audience is when Facebook will expand your list based on people who are similar based on their own criteria. There's 2 ways of expanding. There's a small kind of expansion, which is called a similar audience. And there's a larger expansion, which is called reach. And you try both of them and see how that performs. Actually, before I go on to the next one, let me tell you something here. The way to prove the ROI of custom audience targeting is this. You take your house list and you segment. Half of it, you run a page post ad, so you make sure that they're seeing all your stuff in the news feed. So and it doesn't have to be a please buy my stuff right now kind of post. It could be a page post ad like I was mentioning a little bit earlier. Let's see, over here, right? So here, for a Facebook page using a post, promote the most recent post. I'm going to choose in the placement that I want this here in the news feed, right? And I can choose my audience, a custom audience target right here. You see this here where it says audiences, use existing targeting group? If I've got that email list, I can choose that email list, and then I can come over here and I'm going to say the most recent thing I've said, or I can choose a particular post. Always make sure that email, the people on the list are seeing this message. You see how that's retargeting? That usually blows most people's minds. They didn't think you could do that. Everything we're going to tell you here is about tying your Facebook to the real world, to real sales. Not to, I want more fans or PTAD. I mean, that's great, you want more fans, but I care about revenue. I care about stuff that actually, you want to make money off of this. So what you do with your test to prove the ROI is half of this list. So just randomly take this list, cut it in half. Half of the list you show ads to, meaning you show this page post ad, or you promote a particular post, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. But I prefer a page post ad, which is this one here, right? For a Facebook page using a page post. I'm using Power Editor right now, right? You see here, facebook.com/ad/manage/Power Editor. I'm using this. So half of the people in your email list are seeing this message. The other half don't see the message. That's your control, right? Test versus control. That's an A/B test, right? Then, after you've nurtured this first group for, let's say, a week, 2 weeks, however long, doesn't really matter. Then you mail the entire list like you normally would mail. And then measure what the conversions are off of the first list, off of segment A versus segment B. You're going to find that your open rate is higher. You're going to find your conversion rate's higher. You're going to get more clicks. Figure out what the revenue is that you get from that, assuming you're promoting 20% off for Mother's Day or whatever it might be. Compare that incremental revenue on A versus B, divided by how much you spent on these Facebook ads. You'll probably end up spending maybe $1 for every 10,000 people, maybe $1 every 1,000 if you choose the newsfeed placement. You see here, placement, newsfeed, right? This is the only place to get the newsfeed placement. You have to do it inside Power Editor. There's two kinds of newsfeeds. There's the mobile newsfeed and the desktop newsfeed. But when you promote your stuff into the newsfeed, people don't realize that those are ads. So it works really well. Click-through rate's higher. I mean, everything's higher. As long as you don't spam people with, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. But compare what the lift is when you warm up people with custom audience targeting versus when you don't. And let me know. I think you're going to be very surprised. You're going to find the ROI will probably be in 50 to 100x. So you spend $1, you'll get $50 back. And that's not actually uncommon, because if you're using AdWords retargeting, which is called remarketing, it's part of one of the standard things in Google AdWords, part of the display network, you're going to see the same thing, because you're targeting people who might otherwise not have seen you in the newsfeed. Here, let's just go to my newsfeed real quick. I'm going to log in as me, not Michael Jensen. Oops. No, my bad. You get to see all the stuff that he likes. Let's log in as me. Actually, I'm in Firefox. What am I in here? Here, let me just show you, right? What is my login here? I've got so many of these. And just keep your questions coming. Okay, so I'm logged into Facebook as me. You can see my face with the green background. And you can see all the things that are occurring here in my newsfeed. Can you tell which of these are ads? I bet you can't. I bet you I can't even. It's hard for me to tell. But this is what people do. They're scrolling through the newsfeed, and here it is. I see my buddy Chad Whitman, right? Now look at this. The way people scroll through Facebook is they look at this picture, and you see intentionally this white space here. This is how people look. If they're going through here, and then they see, boom, ooh, Time. I'm interested in Time magazine. And then I look at this information. So it's always about, first, do I trust the source of information? And second, is the content interesting? That's why sponsored stories and leveraging the whole point of sponsored stories is promoting when people talk good things about you, when they check in, when they like, when they buy something, when they RSVP, right? Especially you have an image like this, which is obviously intended to attract you. You see this sort of thing, and then the content will get you to engage more, right? And then you see all the likes and comments and all this. Now, a lot of this can be promoted. So if I know my friend Matt Morrison here, who runs social for a huge agency, then I think it's Starcom Media Best. He runs social for Starcom Media Best. Let's go look at him. Then I can leverage all the, yeah, he's head of social media at Starcom. I don't know if you're a big agency guy, but, right? I can promote, whenever he interacts with my page and my stuff, I can promote that to the people I want, not just all his friends. I could promote it to the intersection of those who trust him and are interested in Facebook analytics and all these other things, right? Now, this is an ad from Chase. I don't like this ad because I've seen it too many times. The frequency is too high. You can't control frequency. There's no frequency capping inside Facebook. People ask that all the time. Frequency capping is, don't show my ad to somebody who's seen it 5 times already, for example, right? A frequency cap of 524, 5 times in one day, that kind of thing. But what you can do is you can look at your ads and you can see what the overall frequency is, and you can kind of stop it, or you could rotate your ads, or you do the trick I was showing you before where you have this page post ad, and then when you're looking at the stats, well, the page post ad that promotes the most recent post, if you're posting frequently, at least once per day, I'd like to say 2 or 3 times per day if you have interesting content, depends on the vertical, then you're going to, it's not going to burn out, right? If you're one of those where you only posted once or twice and you're trying to run Facebook ads, but you're not keeping your content fresh, it's going to kill you here. Because people will, it's just, have you ever watched your favorite TV show and you see that same commercial over and over and over again in the middle, and you're like, oh, I like this brand, but I'm tired of seeing that commercial. That's what's going on here, especially if you're hitting people here in the newsfeed, right? So you can see here, right? Now I'm seeing all the stuff that he's doing. Okay, let me go back to good old PowerPoint here. So that's custom audience targeting. That's a whole webinar by itself. But just to give you a flavor of what's possible here, FBX is very similar to custom audience targeting, retargeting, because your target, in the same way you drop a Google Analytics or a Google AdWords pixel, and then when you go buy you're shopping for whatever, a plane ticket somewhere, you're going to Hawaii, and then all of these ads follow you around all over the internet. Hey, come back, Hawaii specials, hotels for only $200 a night, that kind of thing. That's remarketing, and so you can use all the inventory on the right-hand side of Facebook for remarketing. Isn't that amazing? There's probably 20 different vendors that are part of Facebook Exchange. I happen to like AdRoll and Perfect Audience. There's other guys, if you're really sophisticated and you've got 20 grand a month to spend on this alone, then you might go for somebody like Triggit, or there's a bunch of, they're all becoming more and more commoditized because they're competing on price and they can't charge the same markup anymore. But now you can use all that inventory, like we're saying here, to show remarketing ads. In fact, I bet you a good chunk of these are remarketing ads. You know what I mean by remarketing, right? You come to the website and then they follow you around. You can follow them around inside Facebook, and now you can remarket inside the newsfeed. Isn't that kind of amazing? So I feel like Facebook, because of the pressure to demonstrate earnings to the publicly traded company, is now allowing us to do all kinds of things which used to be basically against the rules of the newsfeed, right? It used to be the newsfeed was about just your friends and stuff that you liked. Now, with mobile newsfeed installs, mobile app installs, and the whole suggested post and page like stories, and this thing with FBX, anything here is fair game on Facebook. I wouldn't go quite so far as to say Facebook's like MySpace, but certainly this territory that used to be holy is not so holy anymore. So for you as a marketer, you absolutely want to be doing this. How much should you be spending on FBX? I would say it depends on how much website traffic you have. Just assume about a 50-cent CPM, which means 50 cents for every 1,000 times you show your message. So if you've got on your website, who knows, 10,000 visits a day, then you're not going to necessarily set a retargeting cookie on the entire site. You might choose just people who check out, or who are signing up for your newsletter, or who are viewing a particular product or part of the site that's very special. But just think, those people who come to your site, you're going to get them back on Facebook. You'll probably get, if it's in the U.S., right, like I said, about 70% of those people, which is huge. When you think about Facebook as a retargeting vehicle, who has more data? Who has more cookies? Who has a stronger ability to allow you to do this kind of targeting? It just becomes amazing. This is a webinar in itself, too. We should do one about that. Now, you can use, here, let me do this. This will be kind of cool. So our good buddy McKay here set up this GoToMeeting for us. And his company is Log My Calls, right? But if I want to go to Log My Calls on Facebook, what am I going to do? I'm going to do this, Log My Calls. Oh, I'm not even done typing. St. George, Utah, 4,000 fans. And then what do I see here? Hey, join us Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern as Dennis tackles 7 Facebook ad secrets, okay? That's an ad. I can bid. Now, a lot of people here on this list, they say, well, I don't have a lot of fans, and I can't do the examples like you do with Rosetta Stone or some of these big guys, right? Or Viacom or whatever, right? We've got a bunch of clients that are like that, where they got huge audiences. And because they have a huge audience and lots of money, there's a lot of stuff we can do, right? But most people here are saying, I only have 100 fans, and I'm still at the stage where I'm a small business. I don't have those sorts of budgets. I don't have a tech team. I don't have people who can implement all of this fancy programming, but what can I do? This is all very complicated and whatever. Well, you can set up the search ad, and this will help you get more exposure. This is one of those 3-for-1 kinds of things, so you better be paying attention. When you bid on a particular name, it could be your competitor, it could be the conferences that people attend. Like, think about who the people are you want to reach. What do they like to do? Where are they hanging out? What other products do they use? That kind of thing, right? You hit them here, and you can narrow it if you want. I wouldn't do that if you're starting out, but you can narrow this by your custom audience targeting and by demographics and by all the other variables there. You can and all of those guys together, right? But let's just say I'm only bidding on anyone who types in Log My Calls because I think that they're a good partner or whatever, right? Or I'm a competitor, right? So I click on that, and then what happens? I send them to a landing page. And in this case here, we happen to have the deck that we're presenting, right? You can follow along. Now, all I did was I clicked on that ad once, but several things happened. One, I got them to my tab inside Facebook. Now, of course, I can choose the default tab being the timeline or whatever, right? I don't recommend doing that. I recommend sending them to an asset. 2, I'm actually iframing. Well, actually, in this case, that's a slideshare, but I can iframe a landing page that's 810 pixels. So I can send them to my favorite landing page that already converts, that I've already been using from my website. I can stick it inside Facebook. It's just called a static HTML instant iframe thing, right? Easy to do. And 3, this is the best part. I've dropped in my tracking tags, right? My Google Analytics and Omniture and or my remarketing. So I can hit them. Right, in one click, I got all of this. Now, and if you clicked on that, now I can follow them around all over the internet. I don't mean not just inside Facebook. I can follow them all over the internet. Isn't that amazing? Type in yes if you think that that's amazing. Type in a question mark if you're confused on what all this stuff means. And give me a sense, McKay, what people are saying, because I'm so excited by some of this stuff, but I also want to make sure that we're speaking English here. Right? Some people accuse me of not speaking English.
You're getting a lot of yeses, so that's a good sign. Okay. We're getting yes and a question mark. I'm not entirely sure what that means. So they like it, but maybe they're slightly confused.
Both then. Okay, that's great. Confused but excited. All right, got it. Yeah, so here I'll show you another example of that. So we happen to do some stuff with Marketo, and their big competitor, who I think they've surpassed by now, is Eloqua. Eloqua was bought by Oracle. And so anytime someone's trying to navigate to Eloqua, imagine if you want to go to Eloqua, how many people here are typing in http:// blah, blah, blah. They don't do that. They go in here and they search. There's 1.2 billion searches a day that occur here, right? They're mostly brand name searches and your friends' names and that kind of thing. But okay, here, I see Marketo, and then what did Marketo do? Hey, they're sending them to the free social lead gen ebook, right? On this landing page, I can fill this out, and my name and my phone number and all this. Actually, no phone number in this one, right? And get my ebook. Now, I can be smarter than that. I can say, if they type in Eloqua and they are in charge of social media, then I want to show them this. Or if they are a CFO and they're trying to measure ROI, then I'm going to show them that. So you can see how you can personalize everything here. You can personalize what you see in the 70 characters. There's a reason why if I type in, well, I just did log my calls, right? I've got 70 characters here, because Google AdWords is also 70 characters, right? So for those of us who run AdWords, we know that your headline is 25 characters, and your line 1, line 2 are 35, right? So you have 70 characters. So it's intentional that Facebook provided 70 characters because they want you to use your AdWords and use it on Facebook too. They want you to take the landing pages that have worked for you already on your website. Why do you have to make all these new landing pages and new apps and all? I don't have time for that. I'm lazy. They want you to use the stuff that's already been working for you and put it inside Facebook. Why not? Because then it's a social experience. Then you have people liking and commenting and sharing instead of like, I don't want to leave Facebook. You already have Facebook. You want to stay inside Facebook, right? So why not reuse all your assets? The lazy marketer is going to do that. I'm a lazy marketer, aren't you? All right. So let's keep going. Publishers Clearinghouse, right? Same thing, remarket to them. You can even do things like geo-targeting if you've got stores in certain areas, right? Follow them around all over the internet. Facebook Exchange is bottom of funnel. We're talking here about search ads. Now here's my favorite one, at least it's been my favorite since about 2008. You can target people by workplace, right? Now if you're used to Google, you're used to setting up ads that are by a keyword. You only get one choice, basically. You get the keyword. And so if I'm selling, let's say I'm selling dental equipment to dentists, right? Then what keyword am I going to buy? I could buy dental equipment or whatever, but what if I buy the keyword dentist on Google? Then what am I going to get? In fact, who is that if I type in dentist, right? Are they a dentist? By the way, the most common name for people who are dentists is dentist for some reason. I don't know why that is. But I typed in dentist, and there are people who want to become a dentist, or people looking for a dentist because they hurt their teeth, or their teeth are brown. All of these different things, ads, right? But what if they are a dentist? How do I target them if they are a dentist, or if they are a marketing manager, or if they are a cosmetic surgeon, or if they are? Think about who it is that you want to reach by their job title and where they work. Now, I like to use my best friend as a guinea pig, and I don't think he's on this. He's probably out training his kids or something like this. But Almighty Dad, that's his blog, and he wrote this blog post about what happened with the Toyota Highlander, okay? So he brought it to the dealer, and they totally just royally screwed this thing up bad. All right, and they were jerks about it too. And he basically, and this was, you know, he went through and described what happened, right? And they really sort of deserved it. I mean, I don't really think you should smash anybody in social or on Twitter. I mean, it's easy to do if you've got a million fans. But he was complaining to me, and I said, oh, you know, yes, I agree. You know, you have friends that come to you, and you have to be there and say, oh, yes, you know, you were totally right, and they're totally wrong, and you're supposed to be there as the shoulder of sympathy, right? Well, I was tired of being the shoulder of sympathy, and I just said, you know, I'd rather just go ahead and fix this thing. So what I did was, and it's so fast and so easy that I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'll be like the ShamWow guy. Hey, look, there's no water here now. And I'm taking that URL, okay? This is the blog post. Take that URL, and I want to promote it. And I'm talking about job title targeting, right? So job title targeting, think about how accurate that information is. People's profiles, that's legitimate, right? I mean, they're not, it's with their friends, so they're going to keep it accurate. When I ran analytics at Yahoo, we couldn't really do this sort of targeting because people all said they're from Alabama and they're accountants, right? And it's just because, and they're 99 years old, because they didn't have an incentive to fill out that information properly, right? Because if you're signing up for Yahoo Mail or whatever, you're not going to put in the right information. But here you are. So I'm not going to target all 158 million people that read this blog post, right? What I'm going to do is here in advanced targeting. Now, I can do this inside Power Editor. I can do it inside the regular Ads Manager here, which is, right, you can see here, /add/create. And here in the workplace, I'm targeting all the people who work at Toyota, right? And I want the people in Japan and Toyota at headquarters. So I'm going to go to that. And watch what happens to the audience here. This works, by the way. I'm not saying use this if you don't get good service when you want to complain. I have 640 people who live in Japan and work in Toyota, and then I can start to do job title targeting, right? I can use workplace targeting, which is usually pretty good by itself, because I'm already down to 640, so I'd probably say, that's good enough. I'd like to keep my audiences usually between 100 and maybe 10,000. If your audience on the right side is more than 10,000, either you have a lot of money and you're selling sugar, water, and hamburgers and you don't care, or you made a mistake in your targeting and it's a little bit too broad. So I'm going to go for the people who are the chief executive officer, people who are chief or director of public relations, managing director. I mean, do you see this? Look at this. Marketing manager. Where is this stuff coming from? Product manager, online marketing manager, manager sales marketing, marketing communications manager. Where's this coming from? Type your response in the chat. Where is this coming from? Is this good information? Is this accurate information? You bet it's good information. It's from people's profiles. And on Facebook, there's a reason why it's free. You're either the customer or you're the product being sold. And so all this data is fantastic. So I don't necessarily recommend using job title targeting and workplace targeting. Job title targeting is a subset of precise interest targeting, just so you know. So happy ending to the story. Next day, the general manager of Boulder Toyota calls and says, sorry, what happened? How did you get all this? I mean, I got all these phone calls from Toyota and from headquarters, and what did you do? And we spent all of $5 on this kind of ad, right? Because you're targeting a narrow audience. People say, I don't have this kind of budget to run these sort of ads. Well, you might. I mean, you probably do, because how much money does it cost to run this ad? Let's just add in a few more things, whatever. Let's say this audience, after I'm done adding in all the stuff I want to add in, or maybe I'm just lazy and I target all 640 people because I'm like, that's good enough. Let's say my audience is 100 people. What's it cost to run that? Maybe go ahead and comment in the chat below. And McKay, let me know what some of the people are saying. Remember, it costs 50 cents, about 50 cents for every 1,000. Maybe $1 if you target them in the newsfeed. Maybe $2 for every 1,000. So let's just say on the high end, I'm going for premium inventory, desktop inventory, or the newsfeed inventory. So $2 for every 1,000 times I show this ad. I'm targeting an audience of 100. I can target that audience of 100 20 times in the newsfeed. I can bombard them in the newsfeed and spend a total of $2. Is this effective? We do this with universities. We do free training. We do lots of free training. This is an example of free training, right? We're not selling anything. And we show these kids how, hey, I want to get a job. Where do you want to get a job at? I don't know, Verizon. Okay, we'll write an article about here are 5 things that Verizon is kicking ass in social media versus Sprint versus like whatever, okay? Write that post and then target that to people who work, see Carrie Bugbee, she totally gets this. People who work in marketing and PR, public relations at, not PageRank, in Verizon, right? Let's go ahead and do that. And guess what? Oh, it absolutely works. Now, there's 2 strategies here for this kind of workplace targeting. One is you have something positive, right? The whole like honey versus vinegar thing, right? And when you say, here's 10 amazing things that Carrie Bugbee is doing in Portland, Oregon, and how well she sings and what she thinks about Mad Men, then that usually will get passed around inside that company because whoever's in charge of PR or whoever's in charge of social, they're trying to defend their job, so they're going to tell everybody, hey, look at all this, right? So write these positive articles. Now, if it's a big bureaucratic sort of company, you might try the negative approach, but be very careful. And that could be like 7 things that Verizon could do to improve their whatever, right? And then that will get passed around too. And you could target their competitors as well, because obviously you want to know, and in fact, the more senior the audience is that you're trying to reach, let's say you're trying to reach the C-level suite, then you want to have competitive stuff. So don't just, if you want to get Verizon as a customer, talk about, here are 8 things that T-Mobile is doing with their marketing that Verizon doesn't know about. That might be the article, right? And target that against Verizon, right? See what I'm talking about here? Right? You're basically taking the high school cafeteria and extending it out to the real world. Because it absolutely works. We're all still kids, just older, if you will, right? So that's workplace targeting. I would recommend that if you're doing this kind of thing, it works really well for B2B. I would do either workplace targeting or the job title targeting. I would not do them in the same ad together, right? Because somebody name a kind of target they're going after. Like they're a commercials material buyer, or they're like whatever, some sort of weird job title where you operate in some kind of niche, right? Or you're a small business owner, or you're targeting people who have just moved, or whatever. And maybe McKay, let me know, right? And we can just live do a quick example of how that might work.
Well, we've got a couple good questions here, Dennis. I want to throw past you on this. You mentioned with B2B, it seems like obviously the titles would be more of a B2B thing. Have you seen, effective B2C campaigns in terms of targeting precise people with interest? Is that how you would target a B2B customer in this situation?
Okay, so I'm sorry, you want to talk about B2B in targeting?
B2C, we're getting a few questions on B2C, yes, the effective ways to target B2C.
Okay, well, there's a couple ways to think about B2C. You're either national B2C, like you're selling potato chips, or you are locally trying to get people to come into your real estate agency, or they're trying to move, or there's some kind of life stage, right? You're local, right? You're either national or you're local. So let me address those real quick. If you're national, then what you're really doing is stealing from your offline media budget to try to be a little bit more effective with your anding. And when I say anding, I mean this. Let's say, name somebody. Somebody name somebody, and we'll use that as an example. And we'll just start with the United States. You want to name somebody?
We've got Brad Pitt. We have physical therapy targeting physicians, or targeting parents with teething babies. Any specific target?
Okay, gotcha. I'm going to move over into Power Editor, and I'm going to show you what is now my favorite thing, which is called partner category targeting. Okay, so let's say here I'm targeting. Let's pretend that I've selected the page, and here in this creative and placement, and I've got a page that's around. You said moms with babies that are teething. What is teething? How old are they? Like 6 months or a year or something?
Yeah, 6 to 2, probably 6 months to 2 years probably.
So let's just say I had a landing page around that, and I have content around that, and it's interesting, and what mom is not going to like to click on pictures of babies, right? Especially with babies with kittens and bacon and puppies, right? All that kind of stuff. Obviously, the audience, right? Well, I'm not just going to come in and precise interest target. So in this case here, I'm just going to create a new ad. Oh, you know what? I'm not. I'm in someone else's thing. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and close all this other stuff. I'm going to target, and the ads, the counts on the right side change real quick, right? So I start out, if I'm in the U.S., I start out at like 160 million, which is obviously too big. And I'm not going to say I'm going to target all moms because that's too big too, because you're a mom, but your kid's now 40. Kind of like me, where my mom still thinks of me as a kid. So if I come in here and I type in moms, that's not going to work for me. There's too many. What I need to do is target them by their life stages. So look at this. Look at partner category targets. Now, when you open this, you may see anywhere from a few dozen to 500 plus, depending on like how good you are and all this. So here we've got demographics. Now, partner category targeting is based on actual information on what you've bought with your shopping cards. Because you got the supermarket card. You get the 4 boxes of cereal for $5. You have to register for an Albertsons card, right? That kind of thing. Household size, job roles, what they've bought. This is actual information. So I can take this. People who bought gas, they have revolving credit, they have a certain, I have this, and I can target them by how many kids they have. Oh, let's see, where can I find this one? Donate to, this is kind of fun. Donate to veteran causes. Those are people who actually have donated. Actually, in the broad category targets, I can target the moms. Let me do that real quick. Actually, I can't do partner and broad category targets at the same time. So hang on a sec here. I can target those people who have kids that are 0 to 6 months or 1 year old, or all of this in here. You can go, actually, if you go to blitzmetrics.com and go to the bottom on the left, we've actually given you a list of all the counts here of everything. And I'm having trouble clicking in here. It doesn't want to load for me. There's a bunch of targets here where there's auto intender. They're about to buy a car. They have a car. Their car is only a year old. Their car is, and so all of this is here. For some reason, it's not opening up this window. Oh, I know why. I'm in someone else's account, and I can't see everything here. In mine, I can see everything. I think we probably spent enough money that we can see everything. Yeah, I don't see everything here. Yeah, home value, length of residence. Yeah, all this kind of. There's some other ones in here that I'm not seeing where I have what kinds of items they bought. So have they bought cough and cold medication? Right? Have they bought online? If anyone here is selling products online or they have a SaaS model, you can target not only people who have that particular interest, but have bought online too. So it's going to convert a lot better. So if you're doing B2C, you're going to combine your precise interest targets for moms and the things that moms like, or I love my kids, or whatever that might be, and these other kinds of targets. Or I'm going to upload my custom audience targeting, which is my email list, and the lookalikes, and other sorts of interests here, right? Broad category targets. So the key with B2C especially is you have to and things together. Otherwise your audience is too big. Now with AdWords, like we mentioned with dentists, you get a keyword and that's it. But with Facebook, you can say and they're women, and they're 25 to 40, and they live in a certain city, and this, and they're in my list, and I want to hit them in search, and I want to do it inside the news feed, and you see, and, right? You and too many things together, the audience gets too small. So just make sure if that thing says less than 20, you've gone a little too far, or your list is too small, or something like that, right? B2C, you don't have to worry about that because usually the audiences are pretty niche. So we got about 10 minutes left. Maybe we'll take a few questions, and I'll continue to go through some of these slides as we go through these questions.
That's great. Let me read a couple of these that people are asking. I'll go back through and ask and read a few that have been asked during the webinar itself. What is your ideal range, if you will, in terms of size, targeted size? What's your low end and your high end, both for B2B and B2C? Do you have a range there that's ideal?
If you have a product or you're in a vertical that is inherently shareable, as opposed to feminine products or something that's sort of embarrassing where people are not going to share that they're trying to get cosmetic surgery or they're trying to have a kid or something that they just got in trouble with the law. If you have a product that is or service that is shareable, like you're an agency and you're talking about marketing things, then you should probably have 20 to 30% of your PPC budget in Facebook. So if you're spending 10 grand a month on Google AdWords, you should probably spend $2,000 or $3,000 on Facebook. Of course, that's just the starting point. If you find that your ROI is way better on Facebook, then you would increase that. Now, of that you're spending on Facebook, you want to have your audience sizes be such that you're not managing more than a couple hundred ads at once. So the reason why I'm saying that you've got to look at your total budget size is if you've got a $100,000 a month Facebook ads budget, you probably don't want to target down to people who are in audiences of 100, right? Because it might be a little too small. Maybe you're looking at 1,000, or maybe you're doing some automation in Power Editor, right, where I'm creating lots and lots. Like, look at this. In Power Editor, let's say I've got this ad that's working. Let's say this ad's working. I can copy it, or I can take this entire list of ads. I can copy it and paste it, right? I can create 100 ads, one click, right, or one right click, right, that kind of thing. So your audience size is a function of your budget. In generally, when we're testing, I'd like to have audiences that are maybe 1,000, 2,000. If it's something really micro-targeted like B2B, and I just really want to hammer things, or it's an audience that, just it's so high quality, I just want to reach them all no matter what it costs, then, maybe I'll go down to audiences of 100 and I'll force bid it at a $10 CPC. So if you're not getting traction, we get this question all the time. If you're not getting traction because you're taking the default CPM or you're just, whatever, just force bid at CPC at $10. Let me show you an example of that. So let's see. There's an article in the LA Times talking about how brands are complaining that they're not getting, exposure in the news feed. So this is a great piece of research, and the LA Times came to us, and we came in and gave them all this data, blah, 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 okay? Right? So here it is. Now, we wanted this to get more exposure, so we took this, we posted it onto our Facebook page saying, hey, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And what I told you before is I took this and I pasted it as just a URL directly here. But it's better to promote it as a post, right? And then I'm targeting all the people who work at the Wall Street Journal, at Mashable, at the New York Times, and all these other places. And guess what? We got coverage in all those other places. So I know all the PR people are thinking, wow, this is what I need to do. This is the whole new guerrilla PR. Instead of the email spamming people like me to write articles, for immediate release, urgent, our client just released a new product, you need to cover it. No, I don't think so. You put out great content, and that great content, because these people like me who are on the hook to write an article every day, believe me, we're very approachable. You got some interesting stuff to say, we want that. We want to be able to post it, right? And I'm writing articles all day long on all Facebook and these other sorts of places, right? So this is a great way to get huge exposure, and the audience is here. So if I target, let's say I had this as a post instead of, this thing here, and it was, whatever, this page, and I'm choosing a particular post. Let's say that there was a post, and I just mentioned the URL. There's this one here, and I want to target all the people who work at CNN, right? And how many do we have? 300 or 400, whatever the number is, right? You'll see the number on the right side as it refreshes, right? 2,000 people, right? That's probably a little too narrow. I'll take all the people in Atlanta, right? Then you start to get a lot of power. So don't think about how big the audience is. Don't think about in terms of like, I just want more fans, or I want to try to target more. Think about making sure that you're getting a high CTR and that it's being very effective for you. If your CTR is not at least, say, 0.5% on the right-hand side, 1% in the newsfeed, and 5% in the mobile newsfeed, then you're not doing your targeting good enough. Let me just roll through a couple of these other things real quick here, right? So this kind of stuff, we've done testing where with custom audience targeting, we'll get a 40% click-through rate. The average on Facebook is 0.040, so we're getting 1,000 times better. Not 1,000%, 1,000 times better CTR. Try it. Your cost per click will be less too, right? Think about how you might do that. So Carrie Bugbee gave us a tip. You can't get very far starting on Facebook right now without spending money on ads. Guess what? They're a publicly traded company. You have to. It's no longer possible to build critical mass without that. It's pay for play, and depending upon the type of business, you'll probably need to offer deals now and then. By the way, the offer is the post type that gets the most traction and most virality, but it also gets a lot of hating too because people will say they didn't claim it. So think about that. Facebook definitely requires a bigger investment. That's true. Page post ads are ways to get your stuff into the newsfeed. Mobile CTRs are way higher. We've done this test where we've seen since we have about 1 trillion impressions, by the way, on Facebook. I'm pretty sure we have more data than anybody. If anyone here has more data and knows of anyone that does, let me know. But across these pages that we've got admin on, we found that in September, most of them lost about 50% of their traffic, which is just amazing. Of course, Facebook said this is because the newsfeed became more competitive and your content's not as interesting and you need to post more often and that sort of thing. But you have to advertise to make up for that difference. And when you advertise, you can make up for it and then some if you're a passion page. Because you get sharing, sharing's worth more. You can see where that's coming from. And let me show you, I know we got a couple minutes, I'll show you a couple quick examples of how that works. So if I look, people say, what's the biggest brand? They say Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola? I don't think so. Coca-Cola, 64 million fans, 841,000 people talking about them, less than a million. You know they spend money on advertising. They spend a lot. I'm one of the few people, I think, that's got admin on that page. So if I look at, and this is the only time I say the F word, I fucking love science. Okay? I know people are nodding. They're saying, okay, look at this. 5 million fans and 3 million people talking about them, more than 3 times the engagement rate. This is one girl out of the UK. This is what we call a passion page. She's posting amazing content 30 times per day. And it's interesting, right? And that causes tons and tons of sharing. There's another one that's just like that. Her friend, Wojtek. He's this Polish immigrant guy. I love him to death. He's hilarious. 670,000 fans, so only 1% as many fans as Coca-Cola. Yet he has more engagement. Just one dude. Of course, being liberal, he's talking about guns and gay marriage and, like, anytime there's something going on, he's talking about that, right? Amazing, right? And so he didn't get penalized. These people we call passion pages don't get penalized. I'm here in the headquarters right now of Deseret Book, Salt Lake, with our buddy Mike Jensen, and they run a bunch of social pages, these passion pages. I love my family, my grandmother is awesome, or, all of these family-oriented things, because that's what the church is about, and that generates amazing sharing. Instead of please buy my books, right? I don't think anybody's going to become a fan of please buy my book. I mean, maybe they will, but right? So think about that. Okay, a couple more tips. I'm going to blast through these because we have some friends. Our buddy Nathan. He's amazing. He's probably one of the best users of GoToMeeting in terms of like a live webinar. If you go to one of his webinars, oh man, you are in for a treat. It is so much fun. It's like the siren song. You need to plug cotton in your ears because he's so good at getting people excited. The best word of mouth comes from tangible events where consumers connect with your brand. So he holds these live webinars and demonstrates people and gets people all worked up by showing them how powerful his software is. Hey-o, right? Use these events as catalysts to drive social word of mouth and amplify engagement. I'd say on top of that, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. His stuff is effective because he's knowledgeable, he knows what he's talking about, and he's not just promoting some random thing, right? So if you're interesting, then you're able to multiply that. But Facebook's a multiplier, right? It's a big email engine. It's the new postage stamp, if you will. You're delivering to the P.O. box. If you don't have interesting content, all you're doing is you're multiplying crap. So you're multiplying awesome or you're multiplying crap. During live webinar, we ask the community to engage, right? He's getting people to like their page. He's saying, hey, please text to 82665, which is Facebook. You can get people to fan your page by just texting to that number, right, which is FBook, right? So he gets people in the real world, and he gets them excited and follows up with them. And look at this. Here's proof of that occurring. I see we're at 1. How about we'll go for 5 more minutes? I want to be sensitive to the time here. I know a lot of people have to go, but maybe we'll just go for 5 more minutes because we had a late start.
That's fine. That's perfect.
Okay, good. I see people here. Okay, that's good. Our buddy Ollie, now you can manipulate any sponsored post right through your ads manager on Facebook, change the duration time, and set up your own budget. Click on Boost Post. So if you're promoting a post, never click the Boost button. That is designed just for small businesses to target. Well, it used to be you could target your fans, but now it targets all your fans and all the friends of those fans who likely are not going to be relevant for what you're trying to do. Any ad you run must be socially relevant, meaning a friend has endorsed it or liked it or connected to it, and it must fit within your target audience. Both of those conditions must be true. Then I had lunch with my good friend Mari Smith, and she said, you want people to see that interaction's organic, not have the sponsored label. I typically wait a few hours since the last comment. So what she's talking about is she posts something on Facebook. And you know Mari Smith, she's got 1 million Twitter followers, and she goes around. You think I speak a lot? Man, she is, I don't know how she does it. But she's got her books and her new, all the stuff. I can go on and on about how I love Mari Smith. But anyway, she does promote some of her posts. But her tip is she doesn't promote the post immediately because she wants to show the organic content. So let me show you an example of how that is here. So if I just go to our page on Blitzmetrics, and you can see, it's a little bit slow here, isn't it? Is the internet slow for me? By the way, we're launching our analytics, which it's free, by the way. engineers haven't figured out how to tie in billing, so if you go to dashboard.blitzmetrics.com, you can play for free. It'll take us a couple months to figure out how to do it. Why is this not loading? Internet here? Okay, here we go. So let me just show you something. Let me show you an example of how organic, paid, and viral work together real quick. Okay, so come on. I should turn the little crank to make the internet go faster. All right, see this? Mari and calamari, or Mari like Ferrari. And there she is. She's holding up a dish of calamari. I couldn't help it. I had to order calamari when we were at the restaurant, and she, of course, prettied her hair up. She always looks great. Now look at this. Organic, 328. Viral, 17,000. We only have 3,000 fans on our page. How's that possible? Is that surprising? And then we paid for 6,000 impressions, or 6,000 reach, which is, whatever, however many impressions that is, right? Isn't that amazing? So people say, well, I'm not getting exposure. Well, what does this 17,000 mean? I'd love to hear people in the comments. What do they think that, what is that? What's causing that? It's because people are sharing. It's because they're liking it. They're passing it along, and that's generating it to show. It continues to get pushed back up into the newsfeed. Your post lasts probably 45 minutes to an hour in the newsfeed. Did you know that? Right? You post something, and then it just dies unless someone else keeps it alive by commenting or liking or sharing or whatever. It just basically falls down the newsfeed because, in the hours since then, all this other new stuff has happened, and your stuff just falls down the bottom of the newsfeed, right? So if you have the high engagement and you have stuff that is truly shareable like this, then it works really well. Don't promote it immediately. We'll talk about Rosetta Stone another time, but they basically are tying to revenue. They're having all their channels work together at the same time. So they're running TV ads, or they have something in Barnes & Noble. They're running the same stuff on Facebook, and they're testing like crazy. You know which of these ads perform better? See if these ads here? You'd never know. I'd never know. I thought I'd know. But if we had more time, I'll talk about who the winner was and why. But you got to bring them down the funnel. You got to set up your ads in a wedding cake. And if you've got a fancy wedding, it might have many layers on it, right? Like this Tower of Pisa kind of thing. But you've got to set up these different layers. The base layer, you've got your page post ads, right, which is there to drive awareness here, right? Interest, where you've got sponsored stories, and that's why Facebook has ad combos that drive these things together. So you create a page-like story, and why you want to become a fan, and then you have custom audience targeting, which is there to drive people down all the way to a sale, to your iframe landing page to collect an email address to get them to check out, to whatever your offer is. The search ads I was telling you about are kind of a function of both, but it's more kind of towards bottom of funnel. So when you stack all these together and you look at your analytics, you can figure out where you need to spend your money. People always ask the question, well, how much should I spend on conversion versus trying to get more fans versus trying to engage my audience? And I say, well, it depends. Figure out where your bottlenecks are for your business, and figure out where the overall ROI is. It depends on how big your list is already, and how much content you have, and how much traffic you have to your site. So for everyone, it's different. Never follow anyone's rule that says, oh, you should always post, at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, and it should be 130 characters, and you should. That's all garbage. It's unique to your business. I wish it was all that easy, right? So here are all these examples, right? Facebook is basically your gigantic email database. All of the same metrics are the same for email. Offsite pixel, right? You track a conversion, tie it back to a cost per acquisition, just like your Google AdWords conversion, right? Marketo does that. I'd love to talk about how they do it, right? Cost per lead, you can have that drop. Of course, you want to look at the quality, and you're targeting people by their keywords. Of course, you're going to target the people who are VPs of marketing versus those people who use Google Analytics. They probably can't afford Marketo, right? And here are all the examples. You're going to have different actions. If you don't choose the kind of action you want, by default, it's going to be photo views. So you can use action spec, which looks like code. I know it looks kind of tricky here, to action type, page story, blah, blah, blah. But you can choose the conversion. You can choose people liking. You can choose whatever that is. It works super well. So we got a bunch of tips here. We don't have enough time to go through it. Maybe a follow-up webinar, but happy to answer any final questions. I know McKay has a couple of words to say. Sorry we went a couple minutes over, but I want to thank everybody for it. Looks like we didn't lose anybody either. That's great. I want to thank everybody for attending. If you've got any questions, feel free to hit up any of us on Twitter or on email. We're here to share openly. We're not trying to sell software. McKay's got some great software, but we believe that if you practice inbound marketing, thought leadership, where you openly share all your best tips, that's what we're doing here, right? You can go ahead and implement this. It works, I promise you. Every one of these things we've tested. If you openly share in your area, So with us, we're sharing about Facebook ads because that's kind of our thing. But think about what's the thing that you do, and how do you openly share so that you can become the authority in your thing, and you share that on Facebook. And all the people who come in and say, hey, Carrie Bugby's amazing, right? Because she knows all about PR and social. Then those people do the work for you. So Facebook is all if you just, I know we went through a bunch of stuff here, and there's a bunch of technical things too, but the big overall picture is use Facebook, use the word of mouth, the people who love you in the real world to do the work for you, right? Amplify by taking your existing email list, by taking your existing assets that are working. Don't create all these new assets, new posts, new landing pages. Just reuse everything and amplify to the people who need to see it. And so advertising is a way of getting all that to happen where you don't have to create the creative. The creative is Mike Jensen just bought this book. Oh, okay, well then maybe I want to buy that book too, right? All right, thanks guys. I'll hang around for a little bit.
Dennis, that was awesome, and compliments to you. I think we're all very lucky for you disseminating that information to us because we've all been to some webinars where it's really high level, tactical, strategic stuff, and this was really good information. So as to specifically how to do it and how targeted Facebook can be. So we really appreciate it. The main question that we always get with these webinars is, are they going to be recorded? Is the webinar going to be recorded? Let me show you where the recording is going to be found, and then we can finish up here. This you should be seeing here is our webinar series page. So this was today's webinar with Dennis. The recording will be on this page later this afternoon as soon as it renders and all the video things that have to happen to video occur. So logmycalls.com/webinar, and then it'll redirect to webinar series, and the recording will be here. So come and view that recording, and thanks for sticking with us with some of those technical things at the start to everyone who attended as well. And Dennis, thank you again for your time. We appreciate it. We know you're a busy guy, and it sounds like you're traveling too, so it makes it even more challenging. So we appreciate it. Any final words from you, Dennis?
Hey guys, we're here for you. I happen to run a software company, but the reason why we do that is we are here to try to scale up everything that we know. I know it is hard as a small business or as a consultant to try to do all these things because you don't have the benefit of testing against other people's big budgets, or maybe Facebook's not going to answer your phone call. We have that, so we honestly are here to help you. We've created a number of guides. We've made some software, some free tools. Whatever you have, I travel a lot, but I always answer email. So any questions, hit me up on Twitter. It's @DennisU, or hit me up on email. That's actually the best way to reach me, by the way. Never call. I don't even answer the phone. It's dennis@blitzmetrics.com. And I'm glad you're all busy. So thanks for spending time to attend. And if there's anything that we're missing, let me know. We can set up a follow-up webinar. Very easy to do. If there's certain articles that you guys have an interest in, I'll certainly post about it. So I write it all Facebook. But we're here for you, and I'd love to see everyone be awesome. And if you've got maybe something that worked well for you and you want to be featured as a case study, let me know. And that way we can spread the love. If you're on the same page about sharing and being transparent and helping others and teaching, even if you're not being paid for it, then I want to talk to you.
And thank you for that, Dennis. The other thing I would add too about Blitzmetrics is they do a really good job. They work with a lot of really large companies and a lot of agencies and businesses that need what they provide. So I would recommend you reach out to Dennis. Obviously, he's got a great deal of knowledge and wisdom, and their tool is really good too. I've heard really good things about it. So Dennis, finally, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. And everybody, thank you for coming today. Thanks for taking the time. And join us in the future for another Log My Calls webinar. And feel free to reach out for any questions to me directly that I can forward on to Dennis, or as Dennis said, just email him as well. So thank you, everybody. Dennis, thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Finding your way and the thing